Mike
Okay.
is our chairman this evening.
We'll call the meeting to order, and we'll start with roll call.
Miller,
Here.
Rosato,
Here.
Beck,
Here.
Knopf,
Here.
Chancet,
Here.
Barron,
Here.
Wolf, absent, O'Brien,
Here.
Callahan, Meitzler,
Here.
Malay,
Here.
Ewer,
Here.
Cerrone,
Here.
and McFadden.
Here.
So we have 12 out of 14.
Okay, so we'll roll down to number 2. We'll just remind everyone when they're speaking to speak into the microphone for the BATV recording. Third agenda, approved minutes for June 16th for the City of the Whole, June 16th, 2020, and for the Committee of the Whole, June 23rd, 2020.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Knopp, second by Ewer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, ayes have it.
Aye.
Do we have to do roll call on that with somebody remote, or?
Do we need to do a roll call on that?
You know what? It couldn't hurt to do a roll call vote on anything, so why don't we do that?
Okay, we'll just do everyone a roll call.
Okay. Knopf,
Aye.
Chancet, Chancet. We might have lost
Hey,
Chancet.
guys, we're gonna do a roll call.
Chancet,
Aye.
Barron,
Aye.
Wolf, absent, O'Brien,
Aye.
Callahan, absent, Meitzler,
Aye.
Malay,
Aye.
Ewer,
Aye.
Cerrone,
Aye.
McFadden,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Rosato,
Aye.
and Beck.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay. Item number 4, items removed, added, or changed. Do we have any?
No.
I don't think we do. Dan, do you have anything?
I do not.
Okay. Number 5, matters from the public. Anything not on the agenda?
Nope.
Think we can move along from that. Item number 6, ordinance 20-. Anybody else? Anyone care to make a motion?
So moved. So moved.
Okay.
Second, Meitzler.
Okay, motion by Knopp, second by Meitzler. All those in favor will do a roll call.
Knopf,
Aye.
Chancet,
Aye.
Barron,
Aye.
Wolf, absent, O'Brien,
Aye.
Callahan, absent, Meitzler,
Aye.
Malay,
Aye.
Ewer,
Aye.
Cerrone,
Aye.
McFadden,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Rosato,
Aye.
and Beck.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, we'll put that on the consent agenda also.
Yeah.
Okay, and item number 8 kind of pertains to that also. It is ordinance 20-41, authorizing the City of Batavia, Kane and DuPage counties to issue waterworks revenue bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $3,900,000 in evidence of loans issued pursuant to the Public Water Supply Loan Program. Dan, I'll take this one also. Sure, why not?
Thank you.
So, well, this here is just, we have an IEPA loan we're looking for to do some rehabilitation work at the water treatment center. We have it, it has been budgeted, we approved it in the budget time for $3,900. We have, though, on the budget, I have some questions on that, but it's pretty much just, we're looking to get that loan. That's what Peggy is. We've just voted her to sign the document in lieu of the mayor if that loan comes through. We're looking to start some of that work this year and finish up in 2021, I believe. Anybody have any questions or concerns or comments? So I have a question, I guess. Gary, would you have an answer for me? It's for $3,900,000, and our budget is calling for $2 million, almost $3 million, $2,968,000. So there's a difference of about a little over $900,000. So why is the difference?
Prairie Street. Right.
Yeah, there's another project in there too.
Oh, there is?
Yeah,
Okay,
so it's
So-
not all,
I can add to that.
thank you.
The engineers had not made the final cost estimates until just this week, but this is a phased project, so only $1 million of the water treatment plant is planned in the budget for 2020, and then the balance will be in 2021. You'll see that balance budgeted in next year's budget.
Right. That doesn't answer the Gulf, except there is maybe a third project or a second project in there? And what is that
Prairie
project?
Street.
What is that project?
No, this is not for the bonds. This is for the water treatment plant. We had thought that it was going to be $3,500,000, but they're projecting it could be as much as $3,900,000. And because it's a not to exceed, the authorizing ordinance
Okay,
is higher.
so this is just to cover our bases in case there was
In
some
case
calamity that it was going to
higher.
cost more.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, thank you, Peggy.
It's on a reimbursement basis based on the actual cost, and you will still see the contract, and you'll approve the construction contract.
Okay, well, thank you for the clarification. Anybody have anything else? Anyone care to make a motion?
Meitzler, so moved.
Second?
Okay, motion by Meitzler, second by Knopp. We'll do a voice vote.
Meitzler,
Aye.
Malay,
Aye.
Ewer,
Aye.
Saron,
Aye.
McFadden,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Rosato,
Aye.
Beck,
Aye.
Knopp,
Aye.
Chanzit,
Aye.
Barron,
Aye.
Wolf absent, O'Brien,
Aye.
Callahan absent. Motion carried.
You know what, we should talk
And
about
Alderman
that.
O'Brien would ask that that be on the regular agenda.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, item number 9, project status. Laura?
Yes, good evening, and welcome to our new way of conducting meetings. Pursuant to the governor's newest executive order, it allows us to have our meetings in person. Once again, however, we do offer the opportunity for both elected officials and the public to continue to attend our meetings remotely if they so wish or if they need to. And so you'll notice that there are several members of City Council who are on the PA system, as well as several members who are here in attendance. The room looks very different than it did in the past because we do want to strictly observe the social distancing, and also as a backstop to that, to stay in our masks for most of the time as well. The cameras are showing the seating area here. The public seating, we only have space for 12 right now because we have spaced those chairs 10 feet apart. If in the future we have meetings where we know that there will likely be additional people in attendance, we'll make sure that in addition to the seating that we provide in this room, that we will provide a way for there to be social distancing while still allowing people to make public comment on matters in which they want to speak to the council. In addition to that, members of the public will have the opportunity to make public comment via phone. When they see the agenda, which is posted every Friday on our website under agendas and minutes, if there is an item on which they would like to speak before council, they can contact us by 5:00 p.m. the day of the meeting and provide us with a phone number. And during the meeting, we will contact that individual by phone, put this on speakerphone, and allow them to speak to you. So provide several different means of people to be able to participate in our process, even though we have to live under some continuing restrictions as far as COVID-19 presents to us. Also want to note some other items of interest. We will be awarding checks to the first 3 of our 11 small businesses who have been awarded COVID-19 grants this Thursday. And in the process of collecting the additional documentation from the remaining 8 awardees, we probably have another 10 to a dozen applicants for the second round of COVID-19 grants. So we're happy that another dozen businesses are availing themselves of this resource in order to purchase items needed for their business to protect both employees and customers, and also to provide tables and chairs for outdoor dining opportunities during this time. In community and economic development, the Historic Preservation Commission unanimously approved the revised elevations for the One Washington Place project. They also approved some glass substitution for the glass block that is on the Campana building. The owner there is anxious to do some much needed repairs and is looking to find a cost-effective means of being able to accomplish that. The Plan Commission will be reviewing the One Washington Place project at their meeting tomorrow. This will still be a remote meeting, and the reason why it had to be a remote meeting is because of the notice period necessary for public hearings. The notice period fell before the governor had committed to moving Illinois to Phase 4 of the Restore Illinois plan. So instructions on how to participate in that meeting are on the agenda. If you go to the agenda and minutes page on the city's website and you look under Plan Commission and the agenda for the July 1st meeting, at the top you'll see instructions and a link on how you can register for that meeting. And then during the meeting, you can electronically raise your hand and make comment during the public hearing. We have received interest in another site in the Batavia Business Park for a speculative building. We don't have any plans that have been submitted at this point, but we're excited to see that development continues, even though we have very limited space that is available at this time in our business park. Work has commenced on the Dual and Dual building. This is in TIF 4, and it's at 126 South Mallory Street. They're doing tuck pointing work and restoration of the failed exterior wall, and their goal is to enclose the structure and restore the exterior walls by the end of summer. So we're really happy to see more progress being made on that building. Staff continues to work on the outside dining permits. Progress is being made through the need for exterior permits. We're expecting that maybe to decline somewhat with Phase 4, but not sure. So far, we have had 16 of those permits that have been approved, and there are 10 others that are in process right now. And we continue to meet with the Batavia Main Street and also with the Chamber of Commerce on a revitalization committee and our Batavia Reconnected activities. And in addition to those that I've mentioned before, we're now collaborating on an outdoor dining Facebook page. There are many who ask us, are these outdoor dining tables just for us to pick up something and bring them over to sit down and eat, or are there restaurants that will deliver food to us? So we thought, boy, it'd be nice to have all that information in one place. And so we're creating a Facebook page where area restaurants can advertise if they are willing to deliver to our outdoor dining areas, and an easy way for patrons to connect to their website. As well, we're going to be creating some signage for our outdoor dining areas that will direct people to that Facebook page so that they can place their orders. In Public Works, we have a public outreach presentation for Mahoney Creek, which has been scheduled for 5:00 p.m. on Tuesday, July 14th. During this presentation, the city's engineering consultant will review existing conditions within the entire Mahoney Creek watershed, and then they'll present possible improvement measures that could be implemented. And that is also going to be conducted via GoToWebinar, and members of the public will be asked to provide feedback and comments, which will be incorporated into the final watershed report. And that's expected to be completed in late summer.
Hey, Laura?
Yes.
What time is that?
That's at 5:00 p.m.
Is it also going to be in here where people can come since it's before the meeting?
Gary, I think it's just going to be a GoToWebinar.
It's just going to be a go-to webinar.
Right, yes,
It's going to be done remotely and recorded and then up by the video on YouTube.
yes,
That one is meant to be a public education.
yes. Then we're also presenting the preliminary engineering study for the Carriage Crest area. That's been scheduled for the Committee of the Whole on July 14th. The study results and recommendation for next steps will be presented at that meeting. We are continuing to, and that will be an in-person meeting here in Chambers. Yes. And so that might be a meeting where we expect there to be a larger number of people here, and we're working to try to comfortably accommodate the public's ability to attend in person and provide a comment while still maintaining the social distancing that we need to do right now. The Main Street project continues to track a little bit behind schedule. Ward 1 is actually ahead of schedule, and Prairie Street and Area 3 are running on schedule. I just want to point out that I think it would be a significant busy year if we had any one or possibly two of those projects. But with all four of those projects going at once, it certainly has placed a great deal of burden on our public works staff and specifically engineering to try to keep track of all of those projects and where they're at and keep them moving along and address any issues that come up. And they've just been doing a wonderful job of that. And that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Anybody have any questions for Laura?
The video gaming site limit change to the ordinance will be on the committee of the whole meeting next week.
On the 14th. No, not the 14th, the 7th. Okay, item 10, others.
I have one.
Mr. Mayor?
Several of you on the council have asked me over the years some historical questions about Batavia and some of the buildings in the community. And as many of you know, I was very close with a number of the people who were the early founders of the Batavia Historical Society. And one of them was William J. Wood, who was the town historian for about 15 years after he retired as principal down at J.B. Nelson School. And so Mr. Wood was a phenomenal historian because as a historical society, we constantly get letters from people all over the world wanting to know about some house or some address in Batavia where maybe their grandmother lived or somebody like that. So Mr. Wood would really jump into this thing and go into the old records and find all this stuff. And then we allowed him to bring his answers down to my secretaries upstairs, Susie Petkus and Jeanette Armbruster, and they would sit there and type little letters up that Mr. Wood would send out. I've got their pictures up hanging in my office with Mr. Wood, because it was quite a thing for many years. The city kind of helped participate in the dissemination of this pretty significant historical information. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it, and I don't think anybody else did either. But anyway, I've had a couple of inquiries rather recently from people in town about certain homes and whatever have you. And so Mr. Wood died back in 2005, so we've had quite a spread. So I'm digging in his files, which I inherited, and among the things I found was a document that was done back, as near as I can tell, about 1970 by himself and Lucille Gustafson, who was also a town historian whose family owned the greenhouse out there just to the east of Batavia High School on Main Street, where Sammy King and her husband now live in that's the old Gustafson house. And back in 1970 or thereabouts, they created a thing called the Batavia Historic Structures, Styles and Designs for Building Watchers. And this was a handout that the city of Batavia used to have in the office here, and they would give this out in the museum. And over the years, for some reason, it kind of disappeared off the scene, and now people show up and they don't know where stuff is. So the reason I'm bringing this up to you tonight is I would tell you that I'm having some conversations with the Historical Society Board that's currently in office, and I think they're going to be coming into one of our meetings sometime soon and tell you some of the things that they're now involved with. But one of the things I'd like to ask, this is pretty easy for me to copy. I'm thinking I'm going to, if the council will be in agreement with this, number one, I'm going to have her copy this maybe tomorrow and send each and every one of you a copy of this document, because it lists 45 houses and businesses in Batavia that are historical. It says what year they were built, what they were used for, things like where Louise White, who the school's named after, where she lived on the northeast side of Batavia. And then we've, as this has emerged, we have some other regularly arriving inquiries about who lived where in Batavia, certain people. And one of them is Jackie D. Shannon, who won the Grammy Award in 1983 and wrote the songs Put a Little Love in Your Heart and What the World Needs Now is Love. And most interestingly was the opening act for the Beatles' first tour of America in 1964. And she's and she lived in two different homes in Batavia in the 1950s, 39 South Mallory and 713 East Wilson Street. And so I'm talking to the Historical Society about that. We also get inquiries about where some of our famous athletes grew up. And one of them was Dan Issel over on North Harrison Street and Ken Anderson on Republic Road. Ironically, Anderson's backyard and Issel's backyard kind of touch, kind of come together. And then we also have people inquiring about Craig Sager, who you may remember was a well-known national sportscaster and passed away from cancer a few years ago. I had the honor of being the MC at his kind of memorial service that we had for him in Batavia. But we want to maybe add their homes to a new list to put together. But I just wanted to share it with the council, number one, and see if you read it over, if there's any questions that come up or any houses you think maybe should be or should not be added to this list. Ironically, there I think are two on here that have disappeared off the face of the earth, that for whatever reasons they got tore down. One of them was the home of, where is it here, 32, of James Stewart, who was a Negro barber in Batavia for many years, and Mr. Stewart had the distinction of being in Gettysburg as a Union soldier the day Abraham Lincoln gave the Gettysburg Address. And so his house was at 117 East Wilson Street, and it got to be in pretty ramshackle shape, and it's now part of the empty lot that's right there to the east of Bocadillos, where we got the tent up and whatever have you. So that's where that was. But most of the rest of these are still in here in some form or fashion. And another one I'm having some discussions with Fermilab about, because in 1970, when they published this, Fermilab was there. And so they listed Fermilab as a historically significant thing in Batavia. In 1989, Leon Letterman, who was then the executive director of Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory, won the Nobel Prize for Science while he was living in Batavia. So his home, there's an argument out there. He was the executive director, and for many years, the executive director of Fermilab has lived in what they call the old Phelps Farm, which is on the southeast corner of Wilson and Kirk Road. If you go to the Speedway gas station, right across the street is that clump of trees. And back in that clump of trees is this house where Dr. Letterman lived. He apparently moved out of there at some point and moved over to a smaller structure. But I kind of jokingly tell people, if I'm giving them a tour of Batavia, if I take them out to 713 East Wilson Street, I got the Grammy Award. If I go out further to Redant and Wilson Street, where Bob Dazzo has his auto repair shop, that was a place in 1973 that 20th Century Fox came to Batavia and made scenes from a movie called Harry and Tonto starring Art Carney. And in 1975, Art Carney won the Academy Award for Best Actor for his portrayals in that movie. So I say I got the Grammy Award here, $3 up the street, I got the Academy Award, and if I take you out to the Speedway gas station and look at that clump of trees that's there, back in there, I got the Nobel Prize. So I don't know of any other town around that can brag that it's got the Academy Award, the Grammy Award, and the Nobel Prize all within about 1.5 miles of each other on one street. So I'm going to send, if you guys are agreeable to this, I'm just going to have this sent out to you all in your emails. It's got a nice little map in here, 2 pages, one for the east side of town, one for the west side, and it marks all the locations of all the historic buildings. And just put this in your file, because, you know, every now and then somebody moves into your ward and wants to know something. It's probably got some information here. The other thing I guess I would ask for you, if you get a chance to review it, if you can think of any other questions or any other sites in town that maybe should be noted. One of them, we have a rock, but that's all we have, was the first site of the cabin of Christopher Payne, and that's out on East Wilson Street, right by the creek there, by Heritage Woods Senior Living Community. And we, you know, I think we should probably note that's a mark. It says right on there what the marker was and whatever have you. So there's just a lot of, interesting pieces of information, but you'll all get this in the next day or two. And read it over, and again, if you have any feedback for me, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others?
I have one. Coming up next week is the next Fox Valley Sustainability Network's forum that are usually quarterly, and now they're ramping up to be about every other month. This one's going to be on economic development and what communities and counties are doing as we reopen the economy. And so there's speakers, planners from the county, a representative from the Kane County Health Department, and then there's also case studies. So Batavia will be featured as a case study on the Batavia Reconnected, and representatives from Montgomery, Aurora, and Oswego will also talk about what their towns are doing as we try to bounce back. So that's on the 8th from at 11 o'clock in the morning until 12. So if anybody would like to register, you can go to foxvalleysustainabilitynetwork.com.
And that's July 8th?
July 8th, yes.
And that's going to be all, that won't be in person, that'll all
No,
be on
just-
Zoom.
Just a webinar.
Anyone else? Thank you, Abby. All right, would anyone care, you know what? Alderman Miller, would you care to make a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Miller, second by Ewer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Adjourning.